If you want to stay in the same situation, then continue doing what you're doing.
And you guys can get on board and go down this 4-lane highway and just rock it out, and you don't have to have a decade of learning process.
Meet people where they are. If you want to have all types of clients, be a Rubik's Cuber. Meet them where they want to be met.
We have to know our numbers. We have to know how much we want, and then how many deals do I have to close to make that a reality?
What I want to do over the next half hour or so is give you clarity on the items that really are going to generate money for you and allow you to do the things you want to do.
So if you're not currently being coached by the people in the industry that are doing it at the highest level, then you're working too hard to get there.
This is the Next Level Loan Officers Podcast with Kenneth Travis and Sean Zalmanoff.
Hello, everybody. Sean Zalmanoff here with Next Level Loan Officers and our friend Michael Fischer. Michael, how are you this morning?
I'm fantastic, Sean. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you for being here. So Michael is a branch manager at Ross Mortgage. Michael, how long have you been in the industry for now?
2004.
2004.
Yeah.
I started at the beginning of 2002. We've seen some interesting rides, haven't we?
Oh, yeah, the ups and the downs. I think at one point I worked for 3 different companies that went out of business.
You just like an implode meter, you kept seeing it stack up on there for you?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I'll go here. Oh, they're the next on the implode meter. What happened there? National City became PNC, and it's taking them 90 to 120 days to close loans. That
never happened, did it?
You kind of did, yeah. And I was at MetLife, and MetLife's like, oh my gosh, there's way too much compliance in this industry. We need to sell. Like, oh man, who would have thought going to a place like MetLife, they would implode, right?
Man, we were just having a really good conversation before we started here about what you do and value you provide. So many of you listening and watching us right now, Michael is well known on the interwebs out there with MLO Network, Military Mortgage Boot Camp, to name a few. And Michael, you were talking about how you help loan officers, and you had a key phrase that you said, and something that we believe and work on in Next Level, but you were talking about transforming loan officers' lives. Man, can you elaborate a little bit on that? Because as we were talking, so many people have this grandiose idea that, man, if I'm not making $1 million, if I'm not striving to make that kind of money, then I just don't have value. And there's a whole nother side of value that you were discussing and what you do and how you help people. And it'd just be great to for all of our guests to hear a little more about that.
Absolutely. I've watched some of your podcasts. You guys are doing a great job, by the way. Congratulations for bringing that to the mortgage community. I noticed that on your podcast and in some of the other events that I watch, a lot of loan officers open up with, why am I on this call and what actually gives me the authority to speak to you today? And in some cases, it is the production. Look up my numbers, look up my job history. And you all can look up my job history. I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm a mill-a-month guy. I've been a mill-a-month guy for a long time. And I've tried to push a little bit and try to go down that path of being, like a Dan Keller or some of the folks that are in your program. And I found I like it, but man, I struggle with focus. I got attention to, to detail, and sometimes I ADD and all that. But I found what my particular skill is being the glue for people who need to get to a level that maybe I'm at, which is not necessarily the Scotsman's list, but it's a really darn good living. And there's a lot of loan officers out there that are struggling just to get to that point where they have balance in their life. And I've found that taking, a loan officer, let's say it's a newer loan officer that really is struggling to break $100,000 for the first time. Okay, cool. I can show them how to do that. I can get them there within a year. Maybe at that point I'm done with them. Maybe they need to move on and find a different kind of coaching or training program. Or let's say it's one of the loan officers that came to Military Mortgage Boot Camp. They were doing okay. They had good production, but they were not happy. They were frustrated because they just got tired of the coffee and the donuts and the Zillow and constantly feeling like second tier vendors. And they said, I really want to do something different. I want to serve more veterans. I want to be able to give back. And I want a different quality of life where my clients appreciate me. So maybe that loan officer didn't necessarily increase their income, but maybe next thing we know, they've got 80-90% of their business is VA loans. And we do have those success stories, especially a gentleman named Jason Steyer in Texas, a great story. But taking a loan officer who really just wants to transform their life and live with more balance can be a big win as well. It doesn't always 100% have to be income. Now, for me, go ahead, man.
Oh, no, go right ahead.
Yeah. I'd say for me personally, I've been able to take and keep a consistent level of production, but grow in different facets of the business. I mean, I wasn't a branch manager previously, but now I'm able to run a branch to help others win, to help others succeed, to provide more jobs in my community. I've been able to build programs and networks that allow loan officers to move up to, well, I guess we'll just say, since we're here, the next level. And those things bring value to me, and they bring a little bit of extra money. So even though my loan production income is consistent, and that's not necessarily increasing as much as some folks might say it should be based on my position in the industry, I've been able to help a lot of others achieve their goals, and thus I end up achieving my goals, making a little bit more money and having more balance in my life and really enjoying what I do. Does that make sense?
It's fantastic, and it's just so much of exactly the principles that we're teaching inside of Next Level. We have 4 pillars that we work on. 1 being our physicality, 2nd being make sure our mind's healthy, 3rd are relationships, and when we have all those in line, we have the business that falls in line there after it. And it's just something that is so missed in so many of the coaching programs. That's business, 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 and just doesn't focus on living healthy lives. Man, the worst thing I could possibly do as a coach would be to take somebody from doing $1 million a year in business or $1 million a month in business to doing $3 million a month in business, and have them forego watching their children grow up, have them, get a divorce because they never see their wife or their husband anymore. And that's just not what this is about. Like you said, you can make an incredibly good living at $1 million a month. It allows you to do other things, the other buckets like you're talking about of income streams, of buying rental properties, investing in the stock market, and having a very secure retirement. It's not all about the dollars that are judged. And I used to tell this to people all the time when I was building and growing, and I am fortunate. My children are young. I had kids a little bit later in life. And I knew like 4 days after my first child was born, who is just about to turn 5 in a few months. And I was like, man, if I would have kept working at the pace I was working before, he would have come to me when he was 10 or 15 or 20 and been like, Dad, why weren't you just a park ranger? I'd have rather seen you than have the money that, that I'll never get back in the time for you.
Now, Sean, did you know that my dad was a park ranger? Did you look that up?
No, really, was he?
I swear to God, he was a park ranger. Yes. I grew up in a state park. Yes.
We just love the camping and love outdoors, and we spend so much time doing it. So that's why
he eventually became a more of a regional manager. And, we lived a different lifestyle. We lived in a fairly affluent neighborhood, but we were perhaps the poorest people in the neighborhood. But, a lot of things that I learned in business, I learned from my dad. I was talking with our good friend Scott Groves, who runs, another great coaching program, Abundant Mindset here. And, a couple of thought processes. He said exactly what you said in his book, which I've read about half of. He's talking about, working out every morning, staying healthy. It's fantastic advice. But, we were just talking about that concept of getting to where you want in the amount of time that you have each day. We all have the same 24 hours. So, like you said, well, maybe I should be a park ranger because I get to work less, I get to relax more, all that kind of stuff. That is attainable in this business. We're in a business where we can build what we want. We see people all over the country building it. And when you get to know them, they're not that different from us. They've just spent some time learning a different mindset, a few different skills, and getting to the point where they understand how to market and find better business and spend their time more wisely, that kind of stuff. So
and it doesn't mean that, you're always, there's seasons. We break things down on our coaching platform of working in a 90-day season. And, there's times that we just have to do the work and you have to grind. It is a business that you just can't all of a sudden one day wake up, have a team and be closing $1 million or $2 million a month. But you do the work for the season that you have to do it. And then you reap the rewards later. Yep. And a lot of those rewards for people is time with your family.
I agree. And, sometimes we struggle with this is something I struggle with as somebody who runs a branch in some small programs, Military Mortgage Boot Camp, Leads Academy, MLO Network. I swear there's like this angel on one shoulder and there's this devil on the other. And the angel is like, I listen to this when I talk about this all the time. It's like, give till it hurts. Just keep giving, give, and it'll come back. Givers gain, BNI, just put it out there to the world and give to everybody. And then there's this little devil over here that's like, pay me. Come on, pay me for what I'm worth. Pay me my value. So I think, there's a happy place in the middle for most of us. If we get too far with either one of the angel and the devil, we find that we're not living the life we want. If we're just always giving and never getting paid, I see that can be a problem too. It's a problem that I have personally a lot of times. But if you're just this crazy jerk that never does anything for people, never helps anybody outside of yourself, eventually that comes back to stab you for sure.
There's a reason why when you're on a plane and every single time before we take off, they tell you that you put your mask on first should they drop. Mm-hmm. And, you can give and give and give as much as until you're broke. But man, if you're not taking care of yourself first, you can't take care of everybody else. And there's just times where it's okay to say no. It makes you a more powerful person to say no and to serve yourself, because that way when you do say yes to people, they know without a doubt that they can count on you. Mm-hmm. It just goes on to exactly like we're talking here. There's might be a few things that we offer to our people and to loan officers that are similar. There's things that you do that are different at Military Mortgage Boot Camp and Leads Academy that are different than we do at Next Level. But man, I know that us having a conversation together provides value to the marketplace. And when people live in a mindset of abundance, two guys here having a conversation about what's working in their business and what's working for the market is what's best for all the loan officers that are listening. And that's what we're both about.
Yeah, we have a handful of folks that are kind of in both programs or all these programs. And, one thing that I've done, and I know you talked about this a little earlier, and I don't want to, use your platform to overly self-promote myself, but I've tried to build this community in Mortgage Loan Officer Network that was not necessarily just set up as a quote unquote sales funnel, like so many of the other groups that I see out there on Facebook. And, if you go in the group and you post anything and it's not related to somebody buying that particular product that group admin offers, then they don't want you in the group at all. And, I think you and I have seen that in other Facebook communities and groups where the group is only about people buying the product from the group admin.
It's a great Facebook page. Everybody on here should be plugged into that. There's good content every day, tons of interaction. It's probably one of the most active Facebook networks, loan officer Facebook networks that exist on Facebook.
Well, yeah, and that was the goal. And it's hard because, man, people start bashing each other, and you got to make group rules and say, hey, let's respect each other, and let's not spend all of our time talking about broker, banker, which model's better, and let's try to help each other. Now,
which one's better? I know. I can tell you right now, everybody listening, the one that works best for you is the one that's better.
I agree 100%. I got great friends that make money on 3 to 4 to 5 different models. And there's crosses. There's like literally 20 different models you could have.
So Michael, I know a while ago I was looking on Veterans Day, and you'd made a post about somebody getting their offer rejected on a VA loan on Veterans Day. And if you could just spend a few minutes, I do have personally quite a few friends who have been through Military Mortgage Boot Camp. The training's awesome. Just what everybody's learning inside of there is great. Can you tell us just a little bit about that and what what you're teaching loan officers, and more importantly, how you're empowering them to teach the community and realtors and other people they interact with?
Absolutely. I'd love to talk about that. Just a little sidebar, Brian Stevens picked up that post, and he posted that on National Real Estate Post this morning. I don't know if you've seen today's show.
I haven't.
He mentioned that as well, and he said, hey, mortgage industry leaders, let's quit focusing on, whether QE is going to come back or whether Fannie and Freddie are going to sell or whether there's going to be additional taxes, and let's make veterans a protected class. Here's an example of my friend Mike Fischer, and he kind of went into the story. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate that. But, we don't do those kind of things to bring attention to ourselves, to put ourselves out there so that we get more business. We do it because we truly believe in our hearts that veterans get a raw deal in many cases in the real estate market because their offers are viewed as inferior. to conventional to, in some cases, an FHA, well, certainly to cash, which I understand. But that's where Military Mortgage Bootcamp started. My partner, Jay McMakin, was our founder, and he brought this concept that we're just sick and tired of watching veterans get a raw deal. We want them to be treated fairly. We don't need to lift them up on a pedestal and hero worship and say they're better than everybody else, nor would they want that. I promise you the veterans don't want that. They just want a chance to be treated fair. So let's do something different. Instead of teaching the loan officers the 26-7 and walking through the guidelines step by step and hoping they remember them, let's start out with why. Why do you want to help your veterans? Why do you want to serve them? Why is it important that you become better as a loan officer? If you can answer that question, then you're ready for Military Mortgage Bootcamp. If you can't answer that question, you may not be ready. So a lot of folks that have started Military Mortgage Bootcamp have realized I don't send people information. I don't send them much on Facebook. I don't email them back much. Sometimes when they ask me for stuff, they get offended that I don't. I want them to talk to me because I want to ask them why they reached out to us and why it's important for them. Our goal is to build a community of people that are like-minded, that all have the same why. We want to take care of veterans because we believe it's our duty as loan officers to educate ourselves more, to bring ourselves to the highest level, to have as much training as we can, because that's how we really feel like we can give back to them, by being really good at our jobs. So we start out with loan officers that are dedicated to learning and to knowing everything they can. And then we actually go at it a little backwards. A lot of mortgage training companies would start out saying, let's crack open the guidelines and let's go through them. We say, nope, let's start out talking about what the veterans' challenge is in the marketplace. And it's not necessarily a guidelines challenge. It's a lack of knowledge and understanding from the real estate agents and from other loan officers in the community that haven't been trained by us. So you got folks out there blaming the VA for slow turn times, saying the veterans offer is inferior, and putting the veterans offer at the bottom of the pile, quite simply. So what should we do to fix that? Well, let's break it down. Let's look at the facts. Let's arm ourselves with ammunition. Let's put bullets in our belt. We can break down these myths with facts. Average veteran home buyer has got a decent credit score. They got money in the bank. They, in many cases, could go conventional. They're not subprime borrowers.
Well, let's stop right there.
Yeah.
So in many cases, we talk to veterans actually who they're buying their second home. They didn't know they could even use their VA entitlement a second time.
Yep.
They have cash to put down. So they just think, well, why would I use my VA loan? Or because they've talked to an agent, oh, you don't want to do that.
Yep.
You want to go conventional. I mean, it's a phenomenal product to use. And I mean, not only is it quality or better than the rest, I mean, it has the single lowest default rate of any loan in the market. You're probably going there, but I just wanted to make sure. I mean, there's all these things that come up when we're talking to our clients about VA loans.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, that's what we do. We try to get the loan officers talking on those talking points first. Then we back up into the stats and guidelines. Okay, so now you know why it's important to explain these things to the agents, to teach them in your community and to teach them to the home buyers and the agents and other loan officers in your office. Now, let's make sure that when we're teaching them, we actually do know what we're doing. So we're going to go back to the 26-7. Now that we know our why, it's way easier for us to learn. So let's talk about what that one challenge was with the appraisal. Now let's break this down. Bootcamp style is what we call it. Let's talk about the different things that our talking points on the appraisal when that appraisal objection comes up. So we know as mortgage loan officers and salespeople, at some point we get objections, whether it's rate, whether it's product, whatever it is. And it could be the buyer, it could be the agent, it could be, listing agent, it could be selling agent. So let's learn how to get through these objections using facts, using empathy, and ultimately the one line that I use a lot, and you guys, if you're listening to this, I want you to write this down. This is very, very important line that helps me personally in my business and a lot of the loan officers we train. We get to the point in the transaction where there may be some hesitation from a listing agent. And we quite simply say, well, if your seller is going to net more money and they're going to close in the same amount of time or less time than they would with any other offer, does it not make sense to move that veteran's offer to the top of the pile? I think they call that a trial close, right?
Them shaking their head yes, right?
You got them shaking their head yes, hopefully over the phone, maybe on a video chat like this. But if they come back and they say no, well, you've got all those bullets in your belt. We've armed you with, all the ammunition in military mortgage boot camp to handle those objections. But we got to push the agents to the point where they go, geez, oh, Pete's, am I doing the right thing fiduciary for my seller? I'm letting them, accept less money on a conventional loan. That's the biggest problem right now that I want to change. The seller should never accept a conventional loan that's going to net them less money over a VA loan because of the words VA. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
One of the things that I bet you less than 10% of people, unless they've been through your program, know about a VA appraisal is it's the only appraisal that a borrower can actually send into, that we can send it on their behalf with a letter to the VA, where the VA will actually raise the appraised value based upon the opinion of what the borrower thinks the house is actually worth to get more value. And
I know we teach that one all the time. Like we teach that in classes with agents. Did you know that you and I can override the appraiser, and we can, write this down, influence the value? Like that's a no-no on all the other loan products and appraisals, right? But we can do it on VA because they care. And this is how we're going to do it and walk you guys through this. So I dig it, man. I love it. Great point.
Awesome stuff, man. I don't want to steal all your thunder and give away.
No. Sometimes I try to talk fast because I got so much to say, but I think we got the gist of it out there.
So you're doing $1 million a month. What, you've been doing it for a while. How long you been consistently closing $1 million a month, Michael?
Oh, geez. I don't even know. I mean, if you look at my MLS history, I keep bouncing around trying to do bigger and better things. And sometimes people call me out on that. But at the end of the year, I look back and I've been over six figures for 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. So it's been a while. Some years are better than others, but you know how it goes. You switch employers. Next thing you know, you close $1 million here and $1 million there, and they don't end up closing in your name. But
so a loan officer listening right now, they're been in the business 6 months, been in the business 2 years. I'm like, man, if I can just get to that $1 million a month threshold, if I can just get to that consistent 6-figure income, there's few places in the country that if you're making 6 figures that you can't live comfortably, as long as you live within inside your means, of course. What are you telling that loan officer that they should be doing? What do they need to do to just get to that point where I got $1 million a month closing, life's good, and I can really start to relax a little bit, have a little bit less stress, and work on those other areas of my life too?
Couple things. Number one, I think some loan officers struggle with their value proposition with real estate agents. And I think they focus on being a jack of all trades, especially earlier in their career. They'll take anything that comes in. I would encourage those loan officers to really specialize and really be known for something that is clearly identifiable. Like, I'm the VA guy. I'm the guy that helps with social media. I'm the guy that is good at helping you with advertising. I'm the guy that's good at renovation loans. It could even be I'm the guy that answers my phone at 10 o'clock. I personally don't always agree with this, but it could be I'm the outhouse lender, the number 2 guy. I'm the guy that you call when things fall apart. So I think that some loan officers go down this path of trying to learn everything and be all things to all people, and they don't end up with a clear voice. They don't end up with the ability to gain authority at anything. And the biggest changes that I've seen from folks in our program have been when they feel like they've truly mastered something, they're comfortable talking about it on social media, in their emails, in their Facebook posts, in their conversations. I like to say they've learned their voice, and they've gotten to the point where the next step for them is, how do I get that message to a bigger audience? Well, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I think getting that message out there is actually the easy part. I think the hard part is figuring out exactly why you're doing what you're doing, what your message is, and is that message going to resonate with your audience over all the other messages that are out there? Like, I got great rates, I got great service, I'm another lender on the corner, I know there's 4 on the corner. How do you stand out? So if you find a way to stand out and you find what that message is, making those connections isn't as difficult as I think a lot of loan officers make it out to be. I think that it's actually clarifying what you do that's different than everybody else that sets you apart.
And it's funny, we've been talking about this in Next Level. We do a call with my guys every Monday morning. We call them Powered Mondays. And the last 2 Mondays have been nothing but on the value proposition. In addition to knowing what you deliver and what are some things about your company that are great, that separate you, that you add value to realtors. Just not just what's your value proposition, but look at that as what do you do to add value?
Mm-hmm. I dig it. Yep. And I know you and I talked about this. You guys do some of the same things that TJ Barker and I do in Leads Academy. And we do them because they work, not because they're, secrets that nobody else in America knows. I mean, we watch other people teach them. There's lots of programs out there. Okay, so I'm going to learn how to generate some leads for an agent. I'm going to learn how to generate leads on their listing. I'm going to learn how to generate home buyer list leads. I'm going to learn how to generate foreclosure list leads. But I'm going to bring that agent into my office and I'm going to teach them how we will work these leads together as a team, how I've got some automation in place, how there's some texting, how there's some slide dials, all that we're doing this for you, but we want you to do this in return. And, our closer line is quite simply agents that work with us generally close 3 to 6 more transactions a year. Would you like to hear more? Shut your mouth, get in front of them, have coffee with them, get them into your office, decide if they're a good fit for you and your team, and then have those one-on-one meetings where you're going to start teaching them what to do. Now, one of the biggest successes that we've had is basically forcing the agents to commit to working with us for 90 days. And we show them all the good stuff that we do, and we ask them if they're in. And if they're in, okay, cool, sign here, you're in. If you're not in, that's fine too. But if they're not in, they're still going to watch us on Facebook. They're going to watch us winning. They're going to watch all the things that we do. And they're going to end up saying, man, I want to be like these cool kids. I mean, they seem like they're doing well. They seem like they're having fun. They end up coming back to us. So we work with them on our terms in a very professional way, but we know that our value proposition is adding value to them and helping them close more loans. So
if you have an agent, Michael, you meet with them, you don't end up working with them in 6 months, 3 years later, they come back to you and say, hey, I'm ready. What do you do at that point? This is a trick question.
I'm happy that they came back, but I believe that I need to make sure they're still going to work with me on my own terms and not, move the target on me. Like, I'm ready to work with you, Michael. You need to kick in $2,000 for my Zillow.
Yeah.
Hey, this is how I operate. This is how I work. We've been through this before. I'd love to work with you. As I told you in the past, I'm going to be in your marketplace. I hope you're not offended if I work with one of your competitors, because it's my goal to be successful in this marketplace. I'm going to be successful. You're going to see me around. I hope we get a chance to work together more in the future. I hope I see you again. But this is how I work. And, we've already talked about this. So do you want to work like this? If so, fantastic. Let's do it. If not, that's okay. I hope you accept, my buyer's offers when they come across on your listings.
That's perfect. I was just talking with a loan officer yesterday. And, we have agents that they sometimes leave you for no reason. And we have one that we're closing several deals a month with right now who, 3 years later came back. Sorry, should have never left you, of course. And, they were talking about, man, well, if that ever happens to me, I'm never going to work with that person again. Or, they're going to have to agree. It's like, man, shit happens in people's lives. It's okay. Yeah. We open them back. We welcome them back. We wrap our arms around them. And man, as long as they're still that same cool person we worked with before, if we haven't worked with them, we're building that relationship now, man, I got no love lost. Come, let's work together. If you're the right fit, doesn't matter. I'm going to be doing this for another 15 or 20 years. You can be the right fit in 3 years from now as well too. And that's just one of the big things, is not letting that ego or pride or all those other negative things that fill our head get in the way of, oh no, they said no to me once. It's like my terrible ex-girlfriend. I could never talk to them again.
Well, it's interesting you said that, because I was thinking about writing a good post on this a couple of days ago, and maybe even writing a couple chapters to a book or something. But it's that concept that anger and arrogance really aren't good sales tools. Authority is good, empathy is good, but anger is not. When you get mad at somebody and you act like you're better than them, you're probably not going to be their friend. You're probably never going to get any business from them. And it's okay, but don't build this reputation of being the jerk. That's never going to help you. So
don't build a reputation of being a jerk, man.
You can quote me on that.
That's something that we can all live by and remember.
I was in a coaching program in the past, I think you might have been, and they taught me how to be a jerk, and it went against my DNA. And it took me a few years to realize that being a jerk wasn't helping my business.
No, man, always be cool. People like people who are cool, and it's just more fun. And that's also something that's a value proposition, man. When people know that you're always awesome to work with, and that those are some intangibles that you bring to the table, man, you're just more desirable. People want to hang around you. You're hanging around somebody who's always a jerk, and well, how quickly can I get away from them? So, hey, Michael, somebody wanted to reach out to you and find out more about plugging a MLO network or military mortgage boot camp. How would they do that?
Pretty simple, man. They call me Facebook fish at times. Somebody else said that, not me. Maybe I said, I don't know. But just find Mortgage Loan Officer Network, ask to join the group, explain to us that you are a LO, and when they ask a question so we know to let you in, because we're trying to keep the mostly non-LOs out. And participate with us there, watch some of the recordings that we do there, or just reach out to me, message me on Facebook and ask about Military Mortgage Boot Camp or Leads Academy, or you can just go to those pages as well. I try not to get too much in a position where I'm out advertising and I'm pushing everything we do. I really, in what I do with agents and what I do with helping loan officers, there's a key word. And my good friend Andrew Paul in San Diego keeps reminding me of it. There's a lot of marketers in America right now that use the word targeting. And we kept talking about targeting when it came to veterans. And he's like, dude, if you target veterans, they're going to shoot back. That's a bad idea. Let's not target them. Let's attract them. Let's attract the right kind of people by the messages that we put out there. And I think that's a great message for what you guys are doing for the LO community, for what I'm looking to do, and for what we look to do with our real estate agent partners and our communities. Let's attract people that come to us for the right reasons. They know we have a specialty. They know we're professionals. They know we have the right value proposition, and they want to align ourselves with that. Now, Sean, how do we do that? Here's a trick question for you. We talked about this earlier. How do you attract people?
Well, first of all, people have to know who you are. You have to have a message.
Message. There you go. You win a prize. I'm sending you a Military Mortgage Boot Camp shirt. We just talked about that. You got to have the right message. Why are you doing this? What is your message?
The right message. There's no wrong message. There's only the wrong audience you're tailoring it to.
There you go. I dig it.
Awesome. Well, hey, we appreciate you joining us. If you want to get your free strategy session, you know how to contact us. It's in your email. It's on the podcast. Look us up. Michael, we appreciate you joining us on our Next Level Loan Officers podcast. Y'all have a great rest of your week.
Awesome, man. Feel free to share these in the MLO network. We appreciate what you guys are doing and look forward to more contributions to the industry from you and all your support staff. You guys got like 6 or 7 or 80 of kicking ass, and I dig it.
Trying our best. Thank you, Michael.
You got it, buddy.